Welcome to another episode of Enable Podcast. I'm your host, Olga, and each month we explore the 8 pillars of wellness. Uh, because being well is not just about the vital, it is also about looking at your finances, your emotions, your mind, your relationships, and also your purpose and the environment we live in. This podcast is a reminder that you don't have to be alone and feel overwhelmed. Here, we have real conversations where we invite experts to talk about and to offer tools that we can share to our viewers. So sit back, take a deep breath, and get comfortable, and let's grow together one pillar at a time. Today, in this powerful episode of the podcast, we are looking at the realities and opportunities of raising boys into responsible, emotionally healthy men in homes where fathers may be absent or unable to play an active role. So, through this conversation that we'll have today with our guest, we unpack the impact of fatherhood, the importance of positive male guidance in a space where there is no father or the father is not active, the unique journey women face where they carry the responsibility of nurturing the young boys into responsible men. And this conversation, it forms part of our social pillar of wellness. Why? Because it means the relationships that we create with our boys are also part of our well-being, meaning the families that we come from. So we also honor the important role that fathers play in shaping the lives of their sons. In this episode, we also focus on empowering women-led households with practical tools, resources, conversations that help the boys grow into confident, respectful, and responsible men. So, without further ado, Sia, welcome. Welcome. Please introduce yourself. Who are you? And why are you here? Well, we know why you're here today, but please introduce yourself to our viewers.
No, thank you so much. My name is Siabomat Lamenu, and I'm from a small little town in KZN called Escourt, but I've soon settled here in Johannesburg. I think it's 20 years now. I'm married, father of three, a house full of full of energy. It's
So first,
full of energy at this point.
firstly, Sia, thank you so much for sticking your hand out and allowing yourself to. Firstly, Sia, thank you so much for sticking your hand out and allowing yourself to avail for sticking your hand out and allowing yourself to avail yourself to sit on our chair as a guest. So the angle of today, so I'm going to wear the hat of, because this is a conversation women, many women that are running households or growing sons into responsibility and without a father or growing sons into responsible men. Where in teenage years and we then come across a spiritually teenage years, we become very frustrated in the teenage years. We become very frustrated in the sense that now we become very frustrated in the sense that now they become very frustrated in the sense that now this boy transitioning into a young man goes through his own emotions and try to figure out what's going on in himself. And here I am, the mother that has been growing him for a long time. I mean, since birth. Now having to put up with resistance, if I can call it that. And how do I now manage that respect, or rather set the boundaries or set the respectful tone? And I know that help me unhack this. Let's start it. Because I'm frustrated and I know that I speak on behalf of many women. How do I unpack it?
Uh, it is quite a deep in society as a problem to have in society as a whole. But I think the absence of a father in a boy's child when growing up is quite it is quite a huge influence on character, uh, behavior, uh, and so many things. But as single mothers, I think one has to acknowledge the fact that some of our men in society in different spheres of life have actually been raised by single parents, single mothers. So I think the role of a single mother is not only get confronted by issues they face, does not only get confronted by issues that they face in terms of raising children, but it's also understanding that the boys uh, they have to be groomed for the world. So at home, their behavior will tend to shake things a little bit.
I think let's without cutting you there, Sia. There is this term saying now you're raising them into responsible men, right? Let's unpack that in terms of what does it even mean, a responsible man?
A responsible.
What does it mean beyond just providing food, providing shelter, beyond the physical things? What does it mean? Because then, by understanding what he means, I think as mothers as well, we'll be able to do a better job.
Yeah. You see, when it comes to, firstly, me as a grown man now, there's still a small little boy inside me. Sure. Um, and one thing that I could identify is character. If the character is shaped at a very young age, it tends to be easy for a man to try, for a small little boy to transition into a method phases of life. But as mothers, if they could understand that the character of a boy is very important, and it's important because um, boys have this mindset of wanting to make decisions at a very young age. Boys tend to be very, for instance, not enhanced at a very young age. Boys tend to be very frustrated. Um, so the character building to judgment enhancement at a young age, I think judgment enhancement at a young age. I think if single mothers could actually look into how to enhance their ability to make decisions on their own, as well as letting them understand that it is okay to also seek an outlook of a father figure outside home. And I think in some places, me understanding that a boy that I was at a specific age, my frustration came when my uncles, who I looked up to, were not close by. So in terms of character shaping, I looked into my uncles as, father was there, but I tend to gravitate more towards my uncles. So if a single parent can push them towards male figures of some sort, it could be grandfathers, it could be uncles, it could even be next door neighbor characters that could play that father figure outlook in their lives. So I think that is basically how they can approach it in a sense. Because character building and be able to make decisions at quite a young age as a boy is very important.
I think let's go deep in there because you've spoken about stepping and looking at what support is around through uncles, through male figures, and I think there is we come from a generation where you used to say that it takes a village to grow a child.
Go, sorry.
But right now we're not in villages, we're in the burbs. And in the burbs, there's high walls. And with that, it creates a different dynamic. That now, where do we find this uncle? When do we find this, this male figure? Yes, I know sometimes we go to church and we find a lot of people are busy with their own things. Everyone is busy trying to survive, like in their as a mother, and not survive. But here I am as a mother, and now as a mother, and then you find that you've mentioned something so at a young age. Who's responsible for that?
It's
At a young age, who's responsible for that?
it's technically let me put it this way. If I look at myself, for example, at a very specific age, let me give myself 16 years old. Um, Around 16, I was looking for a role model. Yes, my father was there. But around that time, I was starting to think differently. A father figure is there, yes, protection, money, you know, having a very warm home. But a role model that I would want to basically see myself to turn into perhaps at one stage. So I was quite fortunate that there were figures around. My mom knew if I'm not around, I'm certainly with my friends, or if I'm not with my friends, I am at a specific person's business. So there is an age where we can make our own decision on determining which male character I would want to involve in my life. So, as a single mother is perhaps try to identify the character that is already been identified by the son, and maybe put effort into trying to see how to enhance whatever relationship. Yes, of course, some role models are on TV, and obviously um, you cannot depend on those because you know how social media and TV is in these days. But as a close by character, I'm sure a 16-year-old already has made that identification. It is to now to give support and see how to channel that relationship. But at that age of 16, a boy child can make a determination on who they would like to be influenced by.
So I think from what you said, yeah, I'm picking up that one, you say single mom realize that at a certain point in growing up a boy, in bringing up a boy or a son, there's a certain place where you won't be able to do it. Meaning, I won't be able to do it physically myself. Even if the words of wisdom that I bring to you, my son, it's better if you hear them from a male figure. They will find a way of getting it to my boy's son, but in my boy's ear, if it's through a male figure.
A late figure.
All right. I still would like it. I'd like us to bring it back, because in most cases there is a whole we Mini normally calls it what, deadbeat fathers. Fathers are there. They are there. They may not be positive in the child's life, but they are there. And I think I'd like us to maybe help us, visit the role of a father, né, in a boy's identity or emotional discipline. The emotional discipline, we're talking about the self-worth, not just the identity. We spoke about the character building. I get that. But now let's look at the emotional, because the decisions and everything, they come from understanding, who am I? And in most cases now we find that our boys, they don't know who they are. Even with everything that they actually buy them, they don't know who they are. Please take us on allow us to go a little bit deeper on the understanding of the role of the father, biological father of a child.
That's right. Yeah, you see, first and foremost, when I look at a role of a father itself and the identification thereof of being an influence to the identification of the child, one has to basically concede to a fact that there are some fathers that do not even know who they are at whatever age that they are in. So having a father present in a boy's life, it is quite detrimental on the boy and even a girl. You must leave the girl out of it. But specifically on the boy, boys tend to mimic every single thing that the father does, because in a nutshell, they will always look at themselves that when I'm grown, I'll definitely be looking like my father. So just the presence alone does shape the emotions, it shapes the outlook, even if the father is as useless as it, you know, but he's present. His presence alone in the life of a boy is very important. And I say this because the mindset of a boy is quite different to a girl child. A boy can look at all the negatives that the father does or look and use them as a strength to say, when I'm old, I never want to become like my father.
Okay.
And as being a deadbeat as deadbeats could be, or he can look at the absence of a father that he would want and say, okay, this is basically what is it that I'm faced with, but I will look to a different direction and look for a specific individual that I can rope in and fill the gap that my father cannot.
Yeah.
So, um, being a deadbeat, it can have its own pros and cons, uh, but it will then depend on how vigilant the mother is on the side.
I think also what I from what you say, you're raising something about presence as useless as not useless. Because remember, the 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 relativity, or rather the fact that he's useless is based on an adult assumption. It's based on my relationship as an adult with the father. It's not actually based on the relationship
That the son
that the
has.
son has with the
Yes.
father.
Yes.
And I think that's where, and I'd like us to actually allow ourselves to get into that conversation where we start talking about, look, it's not my son and father relationship is not my relationship with the father. It's different.
Yeah, it would be different. Like if sorry to cut you short, but if I may maybe paint a picture which happened to me when I was quite young. My father was there, and in terms of I think you're quite right. That big part of it, it depends who's looking at it. Um, I would often hear my mother, saying how useless my father was on certain aspect of life. But each time when I looked at my father was my hero. I was feeling all the gaps that I needed to be filled. Yes, of course, if he can't buy me this and he can't buy me that, um, uh, that was different. But in terms of his presence alone fulfilled what I needed as a boy to understand that he's there. He may not fulfill certain things, but his presence, he's there. Um, if I need to cry, I know he's there, even if I'm not crying. But I know he's there. If I want to advise, even if I didn't need any advice, I know he's there. So his presence fulfills so many aspects, emotional aspects. But if he's not there, completely not there, it's a different ball game, surely all. And in our days, if we look at the dynamics of what breaks a boy child, it's yes, father not being present, but it's 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 the lack of understanding
From who?
from the boy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, lack of understanding. But there are certain things that I think mothers um, can help in order to bridge that gap. Because a mother can act as a father up until a certain point, but to teach a boy child basic elements of understanding can be achieved just by a single parent. When
Can I give a live? I love giving live examples here. So my son is now early teens. And I can't remember what we were talking about. We were driving. I think we were driving to school or something like that. And something was happening in his life. And then I say to him, I try to, to get to understand. So my boy, what's happening? Da, 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 whatever the situation may be. So he says to me, no, I can't discuss that with you. I choose to discuss it with my dad. So I'm like, but boy, I mean, you're with me right now in the car because you're driving together at that point. But you're with me right now. He says, no, you're a girl, you won't understand. And there's many situations like that. You see that statement, that no, you're a girl, it's the kind of thing that I'll talk with my father because you're a girl, you won't understand. Now, it happens to a lot of women.
sure it does.
It happens to a lot of women. And some of the women don't have the option of saying, okay, hambake, you babu up your booza, because of maybe the broken down relationship. So what do I do in such situation? Yeah. And remember, yes, I remember you spoke about the male figure. You spoke about, the sense of community and looking at who, we can speak to. But you just said now about bringing the understanding it can take a mother. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to give him an understanding or whatever the situation is, but he's rejecting it. And he's saying, well, I won't understand.
Yeah, you see, um, at a specific age,
What is that age?
I'll, the
16.
16 and above, you a boy child is always, or they'll be at the point where they know exactly what they want. They know exactly what topics or what things that influence them, what things that they want to discuss. The mommy discussions, I think they around about 14, 15, that is where they stop. And I'm saying this because of where I am with my son.
Yes.
He's 14, and I realize that we need to spend more time with him.
Meaning you as
Me, I as a father, I need to spend more time
Yes.
with him. And we now go to the gym, and at times we don't drive, we walk so that we can have engagement. And yet I then realize that, oh, he's not yet ready to have daddy and son talks. Sure. But when we get home, I then hear discussions that are more, hold on, I would have loved to discuss these with you, but they are still more mommy talks. And through observation and through patience, I know that there will be a time where now dad will have to be present in the discussions that will now be influencing you, and because they'll be attached to the world outside. So at 16, 17, 18, that is where now they're like, I need dad, I need to speak to him. Because now there are things that I cannot talk to money about. Sure. Yeah. So there is a threshold where, yeah, you need to understand that yes, he's at that point now. If the father is still present, do you support him gravitating more towards him, or do you, if he's not present, do you then help him to gravitate more towards whatever figure that he has identified? Because for a mere fact that he can say, no, mommy, yes, this is, yeah, this is not a, yeah, it means that in his head he's already identified a figure that he would love to have these discussions that he's having in his head with.
I think the one of the things that, again, initially it was about the presence of the father, even if it's deadbeat. Now you're saying that, look, at a certain age, a child, has identified a role model because they mimic. That's what I picked up. That's how they learn. They mimic. Right. Now, in most cases, in simulated households, sorry, you find that the mother being emotional, having the pressure of having to make ends meet, and having to make sure you don't faint at school, having to make sure, are you clean? Do you brush your teeth? Do you comb your hair? All of those things. Somehow, they do influence the boys that we call mommy's boys. And today, in natural fact, there was someone who sent me a clip, and the clip was, it is a guy saying that, hey, Nina mama, stop growing sissies. And he was actually very hard. He was saying that, make sure that boy don't. There's a time for laughing. There's a time, and there's a time where you're strict, because the reality is that you are a mother and you are a father. So make sure that he does his bed. Make sure that, and be stern and tell him that, look, you are going to do this. But here's the thing. See how that's tiring. Because I think by design, we are emotional beings. We nurturers. Disciplinarians is where the father would come in.
I would like to give you a different perspective on it.
Let's go. Yes.
I'm not a disciplinarian at all, but my wife is.
Okay.
Yes. I'm more of a person that shapes perspective. If maybe I can maybe break that down. If there's a homework to be done, the mother is there. It's the shout that always makes me at times even want to do homework, my own homework, even though I don't have home.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that type of discipline that even myself, I get home and I look, is everything in place? Because that's a disciplinarian. Then, in terms of shaping character, that's my job. I shape character and prepare him to face the world outside as a man. And which is I think, having both parents, it becomes a little bit easy for them. But as a mother, a single parent, that disciplinarian attitude is built in within a female parent. And yes, it really get tiring at times, because you worry about this, you worry about that, you worry about that. But I think the way that females were created, they were created specifically for that type of terrain. Being a single parent, you are equipped to take that boy child into a specific age. Up until 22, if a mother can actually mother can take that child all the way up until 35. It's their resilience that sometimes needs to be identified by single household that are run by females.
I think the fact that we have, a long time to be with them, the kids, whether it's up until 35, that's fine. It's the transitions that happen within the household. For example, eventually my son is going to start dating, right? And now here I am. I'm like, yo, this boy that I've been growing, number one, decision making, which we spoke about now. What is this child going to bring me home? Who is this child going to bring me home? And how do we make sure that we don't remain stuck? And I think that's where, sometimes they say, but you've got a lot of bitter mother-in-laws. This is how it starts. This is how it actually starts to happen. Because my whole time, or my whole life, if I can say, or my whole son's life, I've been mothering and protection, discipline, all of us. Now he's come to a point, and remember, the father, I'm not talking about a situation where the father is there. The father is not there. It's very important that we reiterate this. Yes, there was an uncle there at home, but my uncle is a drunk. So I can't even take my child there. So the whole script is not working out the way that I thought it was going to.
Yeah, no, you see, those are common issues that I think they go across board, whether there is a father or not. The moment a boy starts dating, it becomes an issue to a lot of women, whether they married or not.
Okay.
It's across board.
Oh, I can't.
No, it's across board.
Okay.
Yeah. Before I met my wife, my own mother had issues with the people that she saw in my life. But she had issues, and I remember at one stage where I said to her, "Allow me to make those mistakes, because out of those mistakes, that is how I'm going to learn." And when I had that discussion with her, so technically I was saying, back off. This is where now I need to experience things on my own. And there was no uncle, there was no father, there was nothing. There are certain things that you as a mother will have to understand, that I'll have to hold myself back, because life has to life in your life.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to be here when things have happened, because you will cry. And this is one thing that mothers tend to forget at times. They've made so many people cry at one point. Mothers themselves, they know which boys they had to cut off, and those tears. What about the mothers on the other end? So having that perspective of understanding that there are certain things that you as a parent will have to understand and appreciate.
Out of interest, and within this, how would a father then handle the son that comes now and wants to date? We've now explored how mothers and how they need to just back off. I'm just interested that if we were to do it properly and relax, a father
Do it.
just advise the boy.
Yeah. My advice to my son now is 14, so I had the little one saying, "Hey, daddy, he's got a girlfriend." Then I said, "No, I understand. I was 14 at one stage, so it means that there's someone that you're eyeing and what. You'll probably go to have a girlfriend once you are in grade 11, somewhere there, where you then understand certain things. So for now, at 14, you still, you know, you still have crushes. But my advice would be, boy, they will still hurt you. That's my advice. because I need to advise with the real life stories. They hurt me at one point, and so you'll go through it as well. Even if it's a girl child, these are the things that you will go through. It doesn't mean that a girl child, if the father is not dead, will come tape more towards the mother. It doesn't. It means that the same experiences that the mother went through to be easy to identify and be able to say, listen, this is how things were. Sure. Yeah. So if the father is there, it's honesty. You're still going to be hurt. So take it easy, and that's it.
Okay. So in essence, I think what I wanted to get to is that if the father is not there, it's the mother. It's more to say, let the boy make the mistake.
Yes.
He'll learn from his own mistakes. Yes. I think some of the mistakes though, they're very costly. And I think there is one element that I'm picking up from being and from you being a present father, is that in a way you are saying, once you've done the teaching, you have to trust that the teaching that you've given the child is enough to help them in the decisions that they're making.
Absolutely.
And I think with us as the mothers, especially single egg-holes, the mother is always in fact, a lot of ladies post 40, they get into anxiety because it's almost like, is everything in control? I'm losing control. My children they don't listen to me anymore. My kids they don't do as I say anymore. If my kids are failing at school, what is, what are the neighbors, what is the society going to say? Yeah, well, here you are. You failed in your marriage, or you failed in whatever. Now you will fail to raise your kids. But I think, yeah, there is a very important, because now we're getting to a point where you need to enable. We can't run away from the fact that there's a lot of homes that are run by single mothers. What are, in your view, what are the cycles, right, that I think they are there? And I'm going to say, for example, you spoke about, what is this? Yes, what are the cycles that you feel that within the households need to be broken in order for us to be able then to I think, take, even if it's 2 steps forward. There's 7 things that cannot remain the same in how we as mothers, for example, where you're saying sometimes we smother the kids, or not even the kids, my teenage son, I smother, oh baby, did you eat, are you okay? And that time my son is saying, mother, I'm fine, I'm okay. So the smothering needs to stop, that I know. But from your side, is, is a male, what are the patterns or cycles that you feel that need to be broken in order for us to make a little bit of advance?
Advance. Okay. Um, Let me just maybe answer it by identifying what I see in my own household. Um, Observing the relationship between the son and the mother, and take myself as an outsider. Say, if these things were to change, um, one and first and foremost is learning to trust the son. Learning to trust the son on issues that are sometimes complex. And I say this because at 14 and understanding how his mind processes things, there are certain issues that I always see and say, he'll be okay in solving them by himself. And if the mother is not there most of the time, it confuses him. It confuses his ability to process. And young boys, they tend to become men. And men don't all of a sudden start processing things, as you know, they say. Um, uh, Men are, they've got a different way of approaching things. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's built in within. It's an ability that is always there from the boy child. But it gets enhanced the moment they get to a point where I'm no longer accountable to somebody else's approval. So each time I then identify that a small little decision that he could have made, he wanted approval or validation from,
Yes. Yes.
and which then always puts him in the idling mode. I don't know whether I should do it or not, because what if I do and then it is wrong in her eyes? So that is one thing that I do identify. So if it cuts across board, it's basically holding back a bit as a mom,
Okay.
so that you can allow them to break that glass if the glass needs to be broken. But you are sitting at a distance where you'll be able to catch. If because that is how fathers operate. Fathers operate from an ability of patience, to be patient, to be able to see that, okay, you are within my radar. You, I have my eyes on you, but I'm going to sit and wait. I know how the story will play out. But if I don't allow it to play out, you're not going to learn from it.
Mm.
And that's precisely how you then prepare them for the world outside. They need to do it right here in front of you and be able to fold your hands and watch. You know how it's going to play out, but I'm going to allow it to play out. Then once it plays out, I then going to come, whether as a person who is going to share wisdom or discipline in any way. So there are certain times where single parents would be so frustrated. Single moms would be, no, you can't do this. I don't know what is wrong with him. What? And then a simple gesture of, let me just observe. Now I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to observe. Give a period for now, because it will be a two-way thing. I know moms is quite difficult to keep quiet. So it's going to work you first, and then whatever that needs to happen, it's going to be observing how it plays. And you'll be so surprised that when you think that the class, or let me observe, but the outcome is he's going to break the class, you'll be so amazed. Then right when it's supposed to break, he's going to catch it, because he's allowing his mind to process every single little thing in real time. So a mom doesn't have that ability. It only is from the father. A father there could be an issue with the boy, and the father just says two words, okay, we'll talk about it.
I've never understood that.
Yeah.
You see that one where the mom is going frantic.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And the father just says, "Oh, give in."
Yeah.
But I think what one thing that comes out for me, Sia, is that there is a part where, and I noticed this with my teenagers, boys, they want to be, they understand strength to be muscles, and they understand provision to be money. We are one, and I think we single mothers, or we similar households, you find that that's a narrative that you perpetuate and condone. How? Because I've just said now, oh, I don't have money for this, or I don't have money for this. So what does the son think? Okay, provision. Hey, when I'm old or when I'm big and I start working, I'm going to mother, I'm going to make things okay. Whatever. So they become wired to think, Uguchi, I must work hard, I must work hard, I must work hard. When it comes to his strength, oh, I can't do this. My son, okay, mother, I'll help you carry him as gym so that I can look attractive. You can able to do that. But what I'm hearing from you is that with those two words, in a way, you are saying strength is something else. Strength is something to be, is it means that you are able to strategize and see that, okay, what do I do in this situation? And I think as mothers, most probably that's what we actually want to gain. More than my son who's going to be clumsy and pick up this table without realizing that there's things that I will follow if. And I think my wish today is for us to get there. Get to that point. And you've started on it. So I suppose then the cycle we need to break first is to just let go. Let go, trust. But I think, yeah, it trust, there's a part where I remember the conversation you and I had when you were saying, Mara Olga, this is your son you brought up. You've grown the son. You know exactly how his mind works. Like that one was a beautiful thing for me. You know how exactly his mind works. And because you are in a position of mobilizing or get into his head, because once you are in his head, you stop fretting, you fret less, but you understand that, okay, how do I strategize and work with what's happening in his head so that he can do, please, you are the best person to unpack that. You have to unpack it when yourself and giving us the example where it worked.
Yeah, you see, let me just give you a practical maybe example on that one. I once fetched my boy from school, and first question that I ask is, "How was school?" And it's a question that now he knows that is always structured on how to answer. Firstly, you need to tell me about school academics. And then you go to sports. Then you go to breaks and what happens. So if you get that order wrong, it means there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I then ask him, how was school? And he says, oh, daddy, a break. So he mixes the orders up. Yeah. So I said, okay, there's something that I need to be told. But I'm not going to probe. Because if I probe, it means that I'm the one who's doing the work. But he's the one that is supposed to be doing the work and understand how things operate. And also proving what he has been taught.
Sure.
And one of the things is honesty. So I immediately, so I drive and I pretend as if I'm fine with everything. So we get home and I'm like, oh, so everything is fine. And he had failed a test. So I get home already. I know there's something wrong because you've just messed up the order. But now I'm in your head now.
Sure.
So I then, okay, I'm going back to the office. Then I say to him, is there anything that you want to tell? And he says, no. Because now I'm inside the head. And I planted that seed. And that seed, I knew how it was going to play out because I understand the behavior inside the house. I understand your sitting posture when we're sitting and eating. So I knew that, okay, let me plant it. I want to show him that I'm far older than him and far wiser than him.
Is this a father thing or mothers can also achieve?
Mothers can also achieve. Okay. And hence I said, if you learn to let go, it comes with a little bit of patience. Yeah. So because now you are inside, you your wisdom cannot be matched. Let me just put it that way. So you cannot play within his arena.
Yes.
You need to be 20 steps ahead and torture him in a very yeah. For, it's not supposed to be, but it is torture because he's not going to sit still. So I go to work. I understand that I've planted now the seed that is not going to make him sit still around my presence.
Yes.
So I come back from work. Nobody is watching cartoons and is not around here. And I'm not. Now I'm certain something is wrong. Then I wait for the mother. I don't know, but he at that point didn't know that now we've got communication with the school. They sent emails.
Yes.
But I did not have the email. Well, my email was not at school, it was the mother's school. So my wife comes fuming because he's just received this. And I was in the bedroom on that day, and she comes and it's like, "Yo, what do you think?" I said, "Okay, fine. I knew something was wrong, but let's play it because now it is no longer about him failing. It's about accountability.
Yes.
Now it is his problems are now they've escalated to that point that now the lesson should be over and above your faith. It's now been able to be to account. So I said, okay, my boy, is there again anything that you want to tell me? Because then I said to him, because when I asked you, well, how was school? You told me about sports. And you know that's not the deal. The deal is you need to tell me about the academics and then you go to sport. So what happened? Raise your test. Oh. So I said, okay, sit there. I was afraid. Then the problem started. And at that point, I said to him, you could have just made things easy by telling the truth, then wait for my response. And now he knows if you break something and you come out and apologize and account for it, you've neutralized my anger. I've got no reason to be angry at you because you've acknowledged that you made a mistake. You've came out and it's called accountability.
Yes.
So now you have to face the consequences.
Imaki said, wait, right there. You know, as you talk about the accountability, as you talk about, the facing the consequences, I cannot help but to go 2 steps back at the point where abantwana bethu lie. Ne? And I think this is not it does. I think when we start seeing signs of lie in our boys, talking about boys, teenage boys, we again, not whether it's not correct, but we take it as far as now namanga ufana no baba wakho,
Which is wrong.
which is very wrong. But again, the idea is not to bash the words that say ufana no baba wakho, but how do we reverse this? And I think it's a matter of reframing it. Yoguti, mama, le ndaba yokuthi umntwana, the child lies to you as a mother the same way he lies to me as a father. Yebo? So maybe deal with the problem yokuthi umntwana unamanga, not the fact now which hey ubaba, please help me before we move on to accountability and everything.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah, you see, there's also a huge danger that one has to identify. The moment you're going to rope the father's bad habits into whatever situation that is confronting, the son is going to respect the father more than you.
Okay.
Simple. Like you say, oh, nabanga njimo babu wako and what, right? Then he looks at you and says, but why are you blowing this thing out of proportion? Because I can explain. You have not allowed me to explain the way that I want to explain it to you. But yet you're now roping Obaba. It then becomes a defense mechanism. While Fambaba is it. So it is very important when there are issues. Mom must be just mom without the roping history, Baba, and what. It's much, it becomes easy to deal with issues in that instance. I know because me growing up as a child, I used to hear that about my dad. And the mom did not understand the relationship that I had with Ubaba. What is it that I looked up to Baba for? Which was far different to all these days that you're mentioning. And even today, when I talk, my father is no more. When I talk about him, and yet my mom is still alive. My mom taught everything that I know: care, be soft as a man, all these things that my wife appreciates. I was taught by my mom. All these things that wives should always want their sons to become.
Yeah.
They all came from a mom. So you could have easily erased my father from the equation. My mom could have just done it well all by herself. But because of the presence of the father, me as a child, I honestly did not care whether my dad had shoes that were torn or what. The mere fact that he was there, I've got a father. Yeah. So I think moms have to really understand the relationship which is so deep that is always attached to a father and a son, whether it's a deadbeat or just allow it. But in terms of a mother in the boy's child, again, patience. Like I say, get into to their head, because your duty is to reshape your thinking, and you cannot do that using force. But it doesn't work. It's the force that you don't have, anyways, as a mother. Yeah, my matings of Shire, like to us, like ha, try because your hands are soft. You're not built to um uh, uh propaining. Like there are so many boys think differently. But if the mother then say, okay, I'm going to be in your head, like I say, my wife is in my head even now. I need to get home. I need to make sure that, oh, whatever she was shouting at him about, I also do not.
Yes.
Yeah, because her voice echoes. So your voice as a single mom will always echo in a boy's child. But let it be that voice that comes at the right time.
Okay.
So pulling back, we are more alone to unamanga. So how am I going to teach him? You know, and the moment we expose the lies, hey, it doesn't. That's a way of it's the highest form of discipline. I can lie, but can you prove my lies? So I have a strategic ways of exposing the lies. There, see, this is you, and you wouldn't even need to shout. But I've just exposed your lies, and I'm turning my back. I'm looking that way. You will hear, "Oh, mama, oh, sorry, didn't mean to," because you've exposed it, exactly. You know, so that is that ability that I'm talking about, getting into a person's head. So I'm not going to fight this with the weapons that you you know. I'm not going to beat you. I'm not going to shout at you. I'm just going to expose, and you need to look at that lie.
Sure. I think, there's a couple of things, actually not a couple of things, a lot of things. And ultimately it comes back to the mother and how she deals with the son at different stages. And as we go towards now conclusion, I'd like us to move from, and I think this is a topic that needs a follow-up. It does. Because now that you've held by firstly unpacking ukuthi, le nto ungumfana yini? How does he think? How does he process things? What are the important things for umfana? Yebo? So in a way, you're showing the mother, yokuthi, ma, you've got everything that you need. So, ma'am, you've got everything that you need to grow this son. It's a matter of knowing when to pull back, when to approach, when to get into his head, and when to really trust the process. So as we're about to conclude, Sia, what is it? Let's give now Uma ne? Practical tools, even if it's 3 of them, ne? So that tomorrow she's able to say, okay, I'm able to face my child with the challenges that he has and faces. Because also we have umdwana, also hamba. My son doesn't live in my house 24/7. And the values that he leaves the household with. Yeah. When he goes to school, can I safely say that the values are the same? They're not the same. Umdwana, because of lack of identity, he comes home with funny things that behavior that I don't understand. And vela bayifundanga la ekhaya. And I'm alone. And remember, I can't even smack this boy anymore. I can't. Because we know you can only do mntwana up until a certain time. But I think without now babbling on and on, 3 tools that we can give the mothers so that tomorrow Ajibuchi has it. This is it.
I think the first tool would be patience.
Okay.
Patience in all situations. No matter how bad, no matter how nice, just patience. And patience which is accompanied by observance. Observe with that patient. And the second one would be understand. Understanding that yes, you are growing. So certain things they would have that understanding. And the third one, and I'll just give you 3. And the third one is do not include a father in your relationship with the son. If the father is present.
So meaning I should not involve my relationship
With the
with the father in
Yes.
my relationship with my son
Yes.
if the father is not there.
If the father,
Like he,
if the father is not there, he should not be a measuring stick. It should not be. It should just be you and him. And one thing that you then discover later on is all of your efforts are always noticed. And hence, us as men, we are able to say, I'm the way that I am today because of
mama,
my mother, not of the father, even if the father was present. Because all the detail, it was through the mother. The mother will always prepare a boy child for another book. So they will give all so that that boy is equipped. So the role of a single parent, a single mother, goes far deeper than we think. And yes, with all the pressures of life, it does become tired. But when the boy is between 16 all the way to 25, mother must always know that now I have a man. Not a baby anymore, but a man in the making. And that man would come back one day. You are.
true. See, that's very, very, very profound. Mainly because, as you said now, I think one of the things that I'm picking up is that by letting go and trusting the process, you're actually creating that accountability that I think all of us as mothers, we want responsible men. Hence the title or the today's episode says that, how to, bringing up sons into responsible man in a fatherless home. So I think we all want responsible men. But it's just that we tend to think that we get to that point through control. Today, what you've taught me is that it's not about the control, or rather, it's not about having this tight grip over. And I will not leave. I know we've spoken about it offline, but I will not leave the importance of prayer. It's not about the denomination, the importance of prayer. Because once then I let go, something else has to be taking care of my child when I'm not in front of them. So thank you.
Yeah. Since you've mentioned prayer, fathers hardly teach sons how to pray.
Yo.
Mothers do.
Mm.
Fathers hardly teach sons how to pray, but mothers, in any society, mothers will always pray. I was an old lady just before we closed, was passed on. I think she was 82 when she passed on. As old as I am now, I think she passed on about 2 years ago. I had the privilege of sitting with her, and she told me that now, my boy, we can pray. I'm a father, I'm a husband, but an 82-year-old grandmother, mother, identified that now look, fathers would never even take that time. So mothers are equipped to be all-rounders, but fathers are not.
But their presence is important.
But their presence, very important. It's like lions in the jungle. Mothers go and hunt, and it brings back the.
That's a story for another day. That's why we'll pick that bowl outside. No, but thank you so much, Sia. Thank you so much for the insights. Greatly enjoyed it. And I think it's definitely it's a very, I love the way that you helped us navigate. And there's definitely key things that we're picking up that look, the mother, as you're saying, the mother is equipped to be able to grow the son. But however, the father is very important to be present. Why? For the character building. Because boy kids, they mimic, they copy what they see. And I think that it immediately it stops us from doing everything ourselves and hoping that we can also overcompensate for the absence of the father. But the situations where the father is not there, maybe the father is no longer alive, or the father has made a decision that is not going to be part of the life. That's where then the village comes in. That's where we look at either a church or through just the community. We surround ourselves with understanding that from a character building perspective, it's important for the child to have the role model. Maybe from a mother perspective, it's about having a conversation with the son, understanding who's your role model. Because I think we don't do that.
Absolutely. I think if we look at those points, there's always hope for a broken child. There's always.
So from our side, thank you so much for watching. From our side, know that we love you and know that what is important for us is that you are able to grab the tools for yourselves so that you are able to face tomorrow, be in whatever situation that you are facing. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Know that we love you. Thank you.